when you have those sorts of whale clients, suddenly they have lots of leverage over your direction, right? And suddenly you're going to step in line when they say, hey, here's this feature request, which again, might not make sense for 99.59 of our clients. But they want it. And so, well, we like our business, so we better actually make it happen for them. It's again, that sort of freedom that we have with not being beholden to VCs. We're also not beholden to any particular customer. We certainly take those requests into consideration. I think we even say, prioritized, feature requests and that sort of stuff, but it still goes through the, does this make sense for the product filter? And if it doesn't make sense for the product, we say, hey, we're sorry, but that just doesn't align with how the direction we want to go.
Welcome to Screaming in the Cloud. I'm Corey Quinn. Today's guest has been circling me, and I've been circling him since long before any of you had heard of me. Don't you miss those naive days of innocence? Jeremy Price is the VP of Technology at Grokability. Jeremy, thank you for talking with me.
Thank you for having me, good sir. It's been too long.
This episode is sponsored by my own company, Duckbill. Having trouble with your AWS bill? Perhaps it's time to renegotiate a contract with them. Maybe you're just wondering how to predict what's going on in the wide world of AWS. Well, that's where Duckbill comes in to help. Remember, you can't duck the Duckbill bill, which I am reliably informed by my business partner is absolutely not our motto. To learn more, visit duckbillhq.com. It really has. I used to live in the city, and then we had no excuse for never talking to each other except at conferences. And now you live out of the city, and we have better excuses for not talking to each other except at conferences, except for the part where we don't really go to conferences quite like we used to. It feels like peak conference time was a ZERP phenomenon.
Yeah, especially in, I think, our sort of realm, the peak DevOps conference meetup times were in those teen years. The 20 teens, not our teen years.
And it was very quickly getting into DevRel, talking to DevRel. And it was clear it wasn't going to be sustainable, but man, do I miss the days of being able to get on stage 5 times a month and just indulge my ongoing love affair with the sound of my own voice. Now I have to do that in a podcast.
Yeah, and it's all yours, so you don't have to ask anybody for permission.
You would think that. Yeah. We all have people we have to be held accountable to at some level. So Grokability has always been an interesting company. I have been keeping an eye on it from the periphery. I hate what you do, which is open source asset management. I don't like asset management. If I can't find something close at hand, well, it clearly has fallen into a well. I'll buy a new one. But that cuts against my entire life philosophy of always buying new toys with an excuse. But I like the open source model. I like the fact that you have been hosting this for customers who don't want to run infrastructure themselves and have done this going from just a few folks to a 10-person company now. And your bootstrap, which is a fancy disparaging term that we use in San Francisco for old-timey business model that makes more money than it spends, like grandma used to make. And it's kind of a breath of fresh air.
Well, thanks. Yeah. No, we are delighted by it. The whole thing started when my CEO / founder / chief developer or head developer was working as a CTO at an ad firm in New York, and they did an office move and lost a whole lot of equipment, and they had no idea where to even start looking for it. And they figured out it was, several.
Did they check their trunk?
I think it was other people's trunks that were the issue, but they had no idea who to even go ask. And she was given zero budget to fix that. And apparently all of the free stuff out there wasn't particularly good. And so she said, well, I'll do what I always do. I'll go write my own solution. And did, and put it out on the internet. And apparently some people thought it was kind of cool, and so they started contributing to it. And years later on a dare, she put up a PayPal link on the website and said, hey, if you don't want to run this yourself, we'll run it for you.
That is such a perfect infrastructure way of thinking, because it's just a PHP app. It's not that hard to run it yourself. Who the hell would pay us to do that? Well, almost nobody. The difference between absolutely nobody and almost nobody, as it turns out, can launch an entire company.
Yeah, yeah. Within the first week, she had lost the bet because three people had signed up, and suddenly she figured out needed to figure out how to host a thing. Several years later, her CTO and husband was working for me, and she stole him from me. And then I cursed at her, and she looked at me and said, "You're next." And 6 months later, and now almost 5 years hence, I came onto Grokability and took over infrastructure and architecture of the hosting platform. She still runs the making of the software side of it.
Yeah, it's nice to be like sort of the dream, like building SaaS that works. I mean, I would absolutely, if I were running infrastructure or asset management stuff, I would absolutely pay for something like this, even if I wanted to host it myself. Which for something back office like this that isn't critical path, I don't know that I necessarily would, but even if I did host it myself, there's something to be said for changing the nature of your relationship with the software, going from user to customer. By the act of giving you $1, I have now triggered an alchemy where suddenly you're sort of beholden to me on some level. You don't have to build every feature I ask for, but you're inherently going to take them more seriously.
Yes, we find that, and I think ironically, the people who pay us, the people who are actually entitled to our time and our services, are the most polite and the more understanding than a lot of our open source. And don't get me wrong, we have a lot of wonderful open source users and contributors and whatnot. But yes, we've found that the overwhelming majority of people feeling really, really entitled to their feature or our time or our, debugging are the people who are not in fact paying us, and the people who are paying us tend to be really, really nice about it. And I think that's a broader trend in open source, but it's been fascinating to see up close and personal.
It's hard in that a lot of folks who fall down this well of doing, I'm going to build a open source company, do it by, all right, I'm going to build a thing. I'm going to take a bunch of VC money, which inherently means that there's an expected return ratio that is not easy to hit. And there was an era where folks did this and assumed that, well, we wrote the software. Clearly, we are the best folks to operationalize that and run it. And AWS said, here, hold my tea. I'm going to want it back. We don't give you free anything. And suddenly they're, hey, that's not fair. I disagree. I think that people want on some level the upside of open source with none of the downsides. You have demonstrated that it is possible to make a healthy, sustainable business by doing exactly this.
One of those conversations that we have occasionally is what happens if somebody comes along and can do this way better than us. And, maybe that happens. That's a risk we take. I mean, AGPL, they are absolutely, welcome to do that. But we are, to your point, we are not beholden to VCs and expected returns and all that sort of thing. We are fans of slow, steady growth that lets us do what we want to do. We don't, fortunately we're a bunch of folks who aren't particularly set on Lambos and yachts and whatnot. And so do we need a hockey stick? No. We are able to pay ourselves and our employees pretty well. Things keep going up, and that's really what we want. We do seem to have the concept of enough, which is sorely lacking in a lot of businesses these days.
So I have to ask, because it seems like everything can give the obvious answer to this. In the 5 years you've been there, how, if any, has the product that Grokability makes shitified?
I don't think that it has. Again, without having a board or VCs going, oh, hey, you need to jump on this latest trend, but otherwise we're going to miss out, right? We get to take a really deliberate and sober look at, well, okay, there is this neat new tech that's out there that can do some really neat things. Does it make sense for us? Does it make sense in our product? And we do this with everything from, crypto to AI to, fancy new things when our developers go to, a conference and see the new whiz-bang features coming out in the framework that we use. And they come back and go, hey, what about this thing? We're like, well, that's cool. But, is it actually going to be around in 3 years? And we've converted over this thing and, hey, new whiz-bang, whatchamacallit? Like, what value does it actually bring to us or the product or our customers? And if our customers aren't banging down the door asking for the thing, then why the heck would we build it? Like, we like our software and we think we do a good job at it. But we also know that we're not saving the world with it, and we're not, doing visionary, thought leadery work, right? We're making something that is a utility that serves a purpose and solves a need for customers.
Oh, what you built is boring as hell. And I love boring businesses because what do? They make money.
Right, right.
And it isn't massively overheated. Like, I'm going to be the best AI coding company. And now we're going out of business because I took a day off to take a nap finally. And we got outperformed by the 17 competitors in our building.
Yeah. Boring company. And, we've, I don't think we gave the talk or we've given versions of this talk of, choose boring tech. I think that particular title was somebody else. But some of my friends who are still in, Silicon Valley startup land, how's working for a PHP shop going? It's like what my CEO likes to say is hey, you call somebody who's still in the codes in PHP employed.
Yeah. Also, like the term I like as well is legacy code. What does legacy mean? It's a condescending engineering term for it makes money.
Yeah. And here's the thing, we may use boring tech. There are still interesting problems to solve. And we get to focus on them without, a new objective every month because, somebody saw an ad in an airline magazine or some VC said, hey,
I'm going to dunk on Slack because I can. At some point, Slack was basically feature complete and awesome. And then, honestly, what they should have done is given amazing severance packages to their entire product team and called it a week. And instead, they just kept iterating and making the product incrementally worse with every new release. And it's awful because you have to relearn where things are in the interface. I just got back from a week and a half away, and sure enough, things have moved around again. And it's just obnoxious. So my question for you, that I see this in a bunch of open source, quote unquote, companies out there. Have you ever, as a company and as an open source project, rejected feature enhancements that folks have pull requested on the grounds of it competes with your paid offering?
No.
Because there are legitimate times to do that. I want to be clear. I know it sounds like I'm loading this up to beat the crap out of you. The answer is yes. But there are good reasons to do that with transparency.
Absolutely. No, and that for some companies in some places that makes sense. So our paid offering is our open source offering. We're just the ones running it. We don't feature gate. The things that we have service tiers on are things that cost us more money to host. You want to handle more requests because you're a huge shop and you have big API integrations? Cool. We'll sell you a dedicated instance. But we don't care how many users you have.
Yeah. Automatic backups, for example, are not available. If you look at your pricing chart here, if you look at your feature matrix here, it's the automatic backups, for example, are not necessarily there. Neither automated upgrades. Well, if you're self-hosting it, that's a one-line cron job. Good luck with it, but that does not a backup make. It's easy to look at that and think, oh, you're obfuscating it and making it very hard to do a restore on it. Nothing could be further from the truth.
No, that's just something that you have to do that we do for you. But that is not something that you get as a product of a default install. It's absolutely available. Like there's a backup command, there's a backup push button. We do all of that for you and the rotation and all those other things. So, it is just a matter of these things are not something that happen with the default install script, but they're absolutely available. I think we've actually had the reverse. And speaking of the intuitification part, we have a very serious tension between things that will make it easier for us to run that have no utility for anyone else. And Allison, our CEO, known as Snipe-IT Head Online, is very, very. It is very hard to convince her to put something in the software where that is the case. If I come and go, hey, for letting users know that, there's, some storage limit or something, right? I want to put in this thing. She's like, okay, but who the hell else is going to use that notification system for anything?
This episode is sponsored in part by my day job, Duck Bill. Do you have a horrifying AWS bill? That can mean a lot of things. Predicting what it's going to be, determining what it should be, negotiating your next long-term contract with AWS, or just figuring out why it increasingly resembles a phone number, but nobody seems to quite know why that is. To learn more, visit duckbillhq.com. Remember, you can't duck the duckbill bill, which my CEO reliably informs me is absolutely not our slogan.
So much of the stuff I have built, like this is where I found Jet AI coding assistant's been super useful for. It's a bunch of the glue code that solves specific problems that are unique to my workflow and environment. People say, well, people's workloads are not as specific as you think. Really? You mean that other people are using this hacked to death newsletter publication system that also integrates into my podcasting system and recording stuff so that I have to basically fire off a bunch of stuff that orchestrates it and I just push a button on my Stream Deck? Really? Where can I download that repo? Yeah, turns out it's not a thing.
Right. And there is a whole lot that goes into running this system at scale. We don't run a system. We run 6,000 individual installations of this system because we didn't build it to be a cloud service, right? We built it to be something that you download and you run. And that certainly creates some difficulties for us in how we have to host it, but it also creates a whole bunch of really natural security boundaries around it, which we really like. And so in a lot of ways, we're not even inclined to ever make it a single application cloud service because it helps us keep us honest around what's going into the product. Make sure that what's going into the product makes sense for the product. Allison, her husband / CTO Brady, and I, less so, some of the younger folks at the company, or the folks in less technical roles, but we all owe an awful lot of our careers to the open source world. And so we have, part of the reason that it is open source is because we want to give back. Like we could totally go, hey, this is a great business and let's, relicense the thing and close it off and do what so many companies have, made horrific mistakes about doing. But we don't want to because we like that we can give back to this community and be a part of that community. And as part of that, we don't want to enshittify the product any more than absolutely necessary. I think the last thing that we did was we allowed a bare metrics integration so that we could, let people know, hey, you really need to pay us.
Don't worry, it shut down.
What's that?
Bare metrics died.
No, I logged into them.
He sold it. I didn't realize. Oh yeah, I guess it does still exist. That's right. The founder started it. I instantly can't load it, which tells me that it basically is using the same domain as the tracking beacon, so my DNS filter killed it. But still, okay. It's just dead to me. Problem solved.
Right, yeah.
Josh Pigford was the guy who did it. Yeah. You would engrave tweets on a wood burner onto pieces of wood. I have a few of my bangers slapped around the office.
Fantastic. But yeah, no, we use them for tracking and whatnot. They're fine.
No, it's fine. I just haven't used it. I forgot they were around, but it's stuff like that that's terrific. It's the ability to solve some of these back end business problems. And I like your pricing. It caps out with the enterprise support and the biggest tier you've got. I think it's $7,500 a year, which is terrific. Great. That also, what I like about that top tier pricing is it's very clear that you're not one of those disastrous businesses that has, one company is 80% of our revenue. So it's basically like we're a division of them without the upside.
And when you have those sorts of whale clients, suddenly they have lots of leverage over your direction, right? And suddenly you're going to jump, step two, hop two, jump two. You're going to step in line when they say, hey, here's this feature request, which again, might not make sense for 99.59% of our clients. But they want it. And so, we like our business, so we better actually make it happen for them. It's again, that sort of freedom that we have with not being beholden to VCs. We're also not beholden to any particular customer. We certainly take those requests into consideration. I think we even say, prioritized, feature requests and that sort of stuff, but it still goes through does this make sense for the product filter? And if it doesn't make sense for the product, we say, hey, we're sorry, but that just doesn't align with the direction we want to go.
Not that you're under active development or anything, but when I clicked the demo page, I got a pop-up that said down for maintenance. The site is down for maintenance. Will be back up ASAP, which is normally the rallying cry of things that are busted and don't work. But I clicked it again 30 seconds later, and suddenly it works again. It's, the website didn't lie to me. What a concept.
Yeah, I feel bad for the folks that happen to hit that. It is a almost entirely fully active demo of the site. There are certain things that we don't allow you to send emails because
or create API keys. I just tried. So yeah, no free database for me today.
You can create users and you can create products and you can do all of these things. But there are other people logging into that same demo site. And so a few times a day, it just resets all of the databases because people are horrible. And I think there was actually a product demo one time with a client whose name everybody listening to this would know. And we took them into the demo site and somebody on the other end of the call went, why is the first user in that Ass Blaster 301 or something like that? And we were like, oh.
Because the first 300 were taken.
Exactly. But yeah, no.
When confronted with that nonsense, you've got to be quick. Someone once asked, the first time I trotted out a new slide template for a talk that a designer got me the day before. I was in such a rush. There were 3 N's in my Twitter username. And first question in Q&A at Usenet conference was, so why is there an extra N in your username at the bottom? Well, N+1 redundancy, obviously.
Amazing. Did you go out and register that one real quick?
Right? No, I fixed the slide deck. It was easier.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, again, demo site, same as what you're going to get, same as what you're going to get if you download. We just take away the pain for you.
I've used a bunch of real asset stuff back in my SMB days, 20 years ago. And this is better than those things. It feels like, asset management database, you mean a shared Google sheet. And yeah, that'll work until you want to do other things. This is one of those things where, I'll just have Claude Vibe Code one for me, this weekend.
And you know what? You can have Claude Vibe Code one for you. And then.
Or you could just git clone and run it yourself if that's your bent.
Right. Well, and, it's one of those things, to your point, we're still under active development. And here we are, I think 11 years in since the start of the product. I think it was about a year later that Allison started a company for it. But, it turns out that there are a lot of weird use cases that various companies have, that various people have, and a whole lot of features and a lot of places do different things. I mean, I know that's should be obvious, but a lot of times it's not, right? It sounds like a very defined space. And it turns out there's just a zillion ways to do asset management, it turns out. And we have our opinions about those. And, we stick to the ones where it makes sense. But sometimes you just get enough people going, no, but actually we want to do this kind of thing that you don't understand, but that's just how we are. And I'm like, well, okay. And again, sometimes that leads to, well, that just doesn't make sense for how this product works. And we don't get those customers. That's unfortunate, but that's why there are other products out there.
Just flipping through your customer testimonials, like this place like Triple H Group, a bunch of smaller companies, Microsoft, these are serious companies that are using this stuff.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of companies that have not given us permission to put their logos on the site yet, but we want to reach out to them and do that because there are a lot of companies that you would know who use our stuff, either our service or some of them run it themselves. Linus Tech Tips has called us out a few different times for we run Snipe-IT.
We talk earlier about engineering brain, but I have the exact same thing. Like, what the hell good is having testimonials like that? But as soon as I put a few big company logos on the Duckbill site years ago, the sales calls changed basically instantly from who are you people again and what do you do to do you think you can help us? It was suddenly a mark of credibility that completely got rid of a whole class of objection once it became clear that this was not our first rodeo and they would not be the only big company we'd ever worked with before.
Right. Do we want to be the first people to take a risk on you? And if they don't have to be that, then suddenly, to your point, it lends credibility.
Yeah. And now, of course, with the big companies, you never get that. So every year at FinOps, for example, we'll have a dinner, and we'll introduce some of our customers to each other. And it's fun because you can see the same process go through where each company thinks they're sort of our only really big customer, but insurance company, meet bank, meet airline. And suddenly they're realizing, these are my people. But without those logos, it sounds like, yes, we have solved AWS bills for people who are spending hundreds of dollars a month.
Right. Right. And well, and we're not I mean, apparently in asset management space, we're actually a decently known name. I didn't really exist in the asset management space before, so I knew about it because I knew Allison. But like, we have a whole subreddit, and we get recommended on asset management places and this and that. But yeah, if you just come to our webpage, like, I love our webpage. I think it's a lot of fun, but it doesn't exactly scream, enterprise corporate when you've got a, cartoon mohawk lady on the front page of your website.
It's funny you mentioned that. We're in the middle of a website redesign for Duckbill, where we are attenuating some of the branding over there that I use a lot for Last Week in AWS, because something we have found over the years has been that final stage when we wind up doing a deal, it's usually a bank shot off of someone in engineering, which is who I talk to in my podcast, newsletters, etc. There's not a lot of you listening to this that work in procurement, for example. If you that is you and I'm wrong, please reach out. I would love to talk to you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to talk. And so there's always a series of introductions during the enterprise sales process. And very often at the end, there's some C-level that has to sign off on it that has never heard of anything that I've said or done. And they go to the site. And back when it was a lot more like the Last Week in AWS sites, why is there a platypus, and why is he so angry? And it was are these people serious? And it took a bit of getting past that. So we're dialing it down now, probably years after we should have. But for what we do at the scale we operate at, that makes sense. For what you do, the fact that you don't have any of these offerings that are 2 commas in the annual price every year, it's okay. Well, we don't think this is professional enough. Terrific. Please keep walking. Service Meow would love to wind up working with you. It's like Service Now for cats.
Right. And, I mean, I wouldn't mind some of those companies, paying us that much. But again, we don't even have the offering for it, because it just, I think we're too reasonable about things at times. But again, slow, steady growth. But no, that's absolutely the thing. I mean, there's a famous story of some bank, I don't remember which bank, got asked, well, why did you go with, Microsoft Cloud when, Amazon was clearly superior? And they said, oh, well, because, Amazon sent, people in hoodies and Azure sent people in suits or something like that, right? It's like, for better or for worse, the appearance matters, and just like not actually relevant appearance, but to some people, boy, that's relevant. There's
more psychology in the buying process than I ever would have believed possible so when I started doing this myself, like I did have the advantage on some folk in that before I entered tech properly, I did telesales, and then I did marketing, and then actual enterprise sales. And I was never great at the process and the follow-up of a lot of these things. And I hated cold calling with a passion, which isn't really a thing anymore anyway. And then But I always remembered that aspect and how hard that freaking job is. I know that talking smack about salespeople is basically the engineering national pastime, but I have no patience or tolerance for it. It's like, excuse me, not for nothing, but those inflated salaries you get for basically slapping GitHub around? Where do you believe that money comes from? Just humor me here. Where exactly does that come from? Venture capitalists? Oh, right. Wrong company style.
But to your point, not only does the money come from there, but to your point, right? Like, you hated cold calling. Like, sales is a hard fucking job that I do not want to do. But for the people who do,
it turns out I do a lot of it now. But I don't do outbound at all. I wind up doing my shit posting performance like this. People hear about, AWS bills. That sounds like an expensive problem that suddenly we have. Maybe he can help us. And the conversations I have when I do the sales engineering role for our actual salespeople is I just spend the entire time asking questions because I want to learn how they see these things. There's a curiosity that drives all of it. I'm not pitching what we do. My job on that is to understand what their circumstance is, ask if they've tried a few things, and suddenly when you demonstrate you know what the hell you're talking about, that is sales. People tend to assume that sales or marketing is, they paint with a broad brush that's informed by the worst examples you can ever find. Like, I remember that guy who sold me my used car, so I hate salespeople. Yeah, maybe that's not the same thing there, Professor.
No. And I also think that depends on the company. All right. Some companies go after that sort of marketing tactic, sales tactic, et cetera. But an awful lot don't. And an awful lot are just, hardworking people trying to do a job and trying to make money for the company that they're in. And that's completely valid. Like, that's how our system works. Are all facets of our system great? No. But like, I don't think that's uncommon.
But you do like food from time to time.
I do like to eat. My dogs very much like treats.
I really want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me. If people want to learn more, where's the best place for them to find you?
To find me, well, my LinkedIn isn't great, but it's a good start. You can also find me at Jermops, Jermops, on most of the social places. Some of them I frequent more than others these days. If you are passionate about asset management, you want to learn more, come to Snipe-IT-app.com. I'm there and I'm going to be there because it's a great place and I'm proud of what we do and how we do it.
And we will, of course, put links to that in the show notes. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Corey. Be well.
Jeremy Price, VP of Technology at Grokability. I am cloud economist Corey Quinn, and this is Screaming in the Cloud. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Or if you've hated this podcast, please leave a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice, along with an angry comment that will then get overwritten when we reset the database.